What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of A Brit and a Yank Talk Business. I am the Yank, Stuart Amidon, owner of Page 50 Marketing and Media, and with me, as always, is Tom Chaldecott, the owner of Knox Thomas. Tom, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Stuart. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm looking forward to your conference next week. For the people who listen to this episode, the conference will probably be happening literally while they are listening to the episode. The sword and the trowel. I like that product placement. Like that's high levels of skill as far as product placement goes. You know, I'm impressed. What a great, it rubs off. It rubs off after time. So today, Tom, we wanted to talk about something fun. We wanted to talk about the idea of making more connections, of building networks out, but more specifically, in a certain way. What way is that?
Well, I think conversations you and I have had before, Stuart, around the importance of networking and hearing this term like your net worth is your network. But kind of, I want to get into kind of, well, what does that look like? And how do you actually go about growing it? So we can talk about networking, fine, but I think there are other novel ways that we can pursue the growth of network, and also kind of the why that exists behind that. So that's what I think it'd be fun to unpack.
So I agree, and that's going to be important for us to get into so what we're really chasing is a practical, like super practical tips for people to build out their network farther and farther. But let's premise this with the why first. Why should people be concerned about building their network out?
Well, if we're talking about kind of business as blessing, or generally wanting to bless people, how do you do that? So like, Andrew Crapuchettes talks about business being blessing at scale. Well, the only way to achieve that is for people to realize that you exist and for you to build relationships and connect with them. If your network isn't big enough, like you're not going to find anyone. And it might be that you're looking for someone to recruit, and you're after a particular skill or there's a particular service you're looking for. And the way that you're going to find that really is through your connections. So I genuinely believe that there is, I won't say that it's completely true, but there is something in the fact that your network is linked to your net worth. You think about the people who, are incredibly successful in business and they know a lot of people. That's not kind of merely coincidental. I'm just going to quickly shut this window. Yeah.
See, this podcast is real and raw, just so everybody knows.
You can edit that out.
So I think this is an important thing I think that people also have to overcome, okay? Because whenever they're thinking about building their network out, when they're thinking about doing that through some of the mechanisms that we're going to talk about, I think that some people might say that they're being false, that they're not really growing their business authentically. Do you know what I'm saying? They're manipulating it. They're being fake. They're being pretentious and just trying to get relationships for the sake of business. How do we deal with those rebuttals?
Yeah, I mean,
how do we deal with those folks?
I think that's fun because I'm sitting here like that's ridiculous. However, I'm like, that was me kind of 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
So I think part of it is a short-sightedness. So like the people who are like, oh, it's not authentic to do this. I mean, I hate the term authentic because the most authentic thing potentially is just sin. Okay, so let's not be authentic. Let's have some self-discipline and obey God and love His commandments, which isn't going to feel authentic. But one of the things, so kind of with that in mind almost, or using that as a stepping stone, what are we doing when we're building connections? Well, we're actually looking to bless other people. And that is how, and again, this is how we should be thinking about things like sales and marketing. Like if you're going into a conversation thinking, I'm just going to use this person in order to get to something else, like that is wrong. And like, you're not going to win. And the other person certainly isn't going to win because you're going in with this kind of like use people, love things approach. Whereas if we go into conversations, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about conversations and I really enjoy about networking because you never know what you're going to learn. And if you go in with that kind of degree of humility, going, what can I learn from this conversation just by merely asking this person questions and letting them talk? And like, if a byproduct of that is I know someone who would be blessed if I introduce them to you, great, 3 people win. So
Yes.
the idea of kind of communication being the mechanism by which multiple people are blessed, if you view networking as that, and you view conversations and relationships, and you couple that with knowing more people. If I know more people and then I get to know more people, then if I can interlink some of these people, then everybody else gets blessed at scale. I also get blessed because I'm blessing other people, and obviously this is how it works. So just the interest and the fact that you have to go into that caring about the other person that you're talking to, and having a humility to listen to them, and admit that there are going to be things that you don't know that they do know. And conversations are exciting. Like the idea that, you and I have kind of touched on this before, like, what did adventure look like 500 years ago? Well, it looked like getting on a ship and being in a really difficult, dangerous scenario where you didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. Okay, well, we can't do that.
And you might die.
You might die, okay? At least in networking, you're not going to die. I'm going to promise you
Probably.
But there should be an excitement about like, what is the connection we're going to make here? What is the new idea that's going to kind of be a blessing? And like, where does this go? Like, let's explore this.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it comes, the proper disposition comes with the understanding that you're stepping into this conversation to serve people. Like you're coming in. So I appreciate, how you're saying it's important to enter in with a degree of humility. And I think that you position yourself with that humility by saying, I'm here to serve. I'm here to, like, if there's a way that I can be a blessing to these people, to go back to your reference to Andrew Krepichet's, if there's a way that I can be a blessing to these people, I want to be that blessing. One of the things that we do for our company, we operate under the mindset of advice is always free. That's how you and I met. Like we met, you said, hey, I have questions. And I said, here's all the things that you can do. Here's, advice. And we talked, and it was a lot of fun. But we maintain that disposition because it's a disposition of service. We're actually just trying to help people. And I think that if you step into those relationships in that way, and you say, I'm literally here just to try and serve you, that's going to help orient you in the proper mindset, and it's also going to help you, like you said before, be able to receive from them too, because there's a strong chance that they might give you insights that you don't have, right? Or maybe it's a type of client that you've never worked with before, and now you have to get creative in how you're going to solve their problems and think through the scenarios that they face specifically. But yes, it 100% starts right there. It starts with saying,
there's
how do I serve these people?
Kind of, it's going in a slightly different direction. I want to come back, but as you're listening to whoever it might be, there's opportunity there to engage with innovation and what is it they need. In what current way are they not being served that you might be able to serve them better? I feel frustration at the moment all the time. Like we've got a problem trying to get insurance brokers and mortgage brokers, and I'm currently infuriated at the guy who fixes my car who hasn't fixed my car. And like the things that are infuriating are actually very minor. So I believe that they can probably do the service. But like when I get a rental car and I go away for a week with a rental car and I'd rather have my pickup truck, I'm expecting at the end of that week for my pickup truck to be fixed. Not for them to not ring me and me have to ring them and then me go, okay, where's it up to? And they're like, oh, well, we've cleared all the fault codes, but we haven't fixed anything. I'm like, come on. And like, the thing is they haven't listened to what they're actually providing as a service. They think they're just fixing cars. Well, no, you're actually, I need my truck all the time and I do loads of miles. So like I've intentionally gone, here's my car for a week. Please fix it because I need it and you haven't fixed it. So if they were, if they were to engage with me from a position of humility, which they don't, they would learn these things. And they'd be able to deliver better service, increase their prices, and earn more profit. And they would still be adding value. Like, I would pay more money if it meant my car didn't have to go to the garage twice.
Right.
And that needed humility.
Right. And that needed, and what you're missing in that space is is a degree of service. It's on the other side, but it's there. So let's think about this, because I'm sure that we have people listening who are saying, I mean, I would love to build my network out. I have no idea where to start.
Yep.
Right. And to be completely honest, this is everyone who ventures into business for the first time. You don't know how to build your network. You don't know how to have sales-ish related conversations and not feel slimy whenever you're done with them. And there's a lot of things to learn. So let's start there. Like, what are some easy places for people to start just building a network? Well, let's say they've got nothing. They just started a business. They're trying to get off the ground. Where do we start?
I'm going to answer a different question.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
So I think the first thing that I would say is like those first conversations that you have won't be the conversations that you have forever. So there will be slimy conversations where you feel like, I don't want to chat to 7, I don't know, mortgage providers or like insurance people. Like, that's not fun. Accountants seem to be everywhere, and I have one. Like, those conversations will happen at the beginning. Totally. Yeah. But they won't last forever. Like, there's a point where you get past those kind of people, and you end up talking to people who are more likely to provide you service you want. You're going to help them, and they're going to help you. So my first thing would be like, kind of, you're going to have terrible conversations. They're going to suck at the beginning. But you'll get past that, and you'll meet the people who you'll be able to help. They'll be able to help you.
Yeah. This goes back to the recurring theme of this overall podcast, which is if you're faithful with those little things that you kind of don't want to do in the beginning, the Lord gives you more opportunity. He will expand the opportunity in front of you, but you have to be faithful with those little things first in order to kind of move forward and serve other people. And that does take time. When we first started our business, and I'm sure that you experienced this when you first started yours, I was not serving the type of client that I wanted to serve long term. I'm sure to a degree, losing money over the types of clients that we were bringing in, because I was just trying to serve people, to serve anybody, to build something with someone else. And then after doing it for a decade, the Lord has given us opportunity to serve the clients that I really hoped to serve one day, to build with the people that I really hoped to build with one day. And that is true of everything. So your first initial conversations, and maybe even your first customers, they're not going to be the ones that you're really chasing. Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Serve them anyway. Be faithful with that, and you'll see blessing come from that.
And that's totally the space to like try stuff out, try things and like take conversations in a different angle, like learn kind of how to exit a conversation, and you can do those things, and you can make a mess of them in conversations that you're never gonna see these guys again, and it makes no difference. So take them as opportunities. Yes. So in terms go on then. In terms of
now let's go the practical. Now let's go how, Tom? What do I do? What do I do?
I mean, I think the two obvious places that I think are really low bar to entry are local networking events. That's certainly the place to start, and there's a cutting of your teeth there. Everyone has to do it. And then the other one is social media. So I was going to say I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I both hate LinkedIn and love it. It is a horrible place.
I'm right there with you.
It is a horrible place. And my feed is like, not a fun place to be. But it is somewhere to connect with people. And it's somewhere with a very low bar to entry. I think one of the fun things that you quickly recognize if like you want to kind of push the network building and the connection building is that most people will be happy to talk to you. There are people, big names out there. If you've got kind of a half decent reason for like reaching out and connecting with them, it's very likely that they'll reply and very likely that you'll be able to connect.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, so my strategy for meeting new people on LinkedIn is to, if they approve my connection request, if they bless me with their presence, then the first thing that I do is I say to them, hey, I own this marketing company. Thanks for connecting with me. Do you want me to audit your website? No cost to you. And it's interesting, like, because I'll get messages back from people because I think they're used to the pitch, like the pitch incoming. And I get messages back from some folks sometimes, and they're like, hey, I have no money for this. I can't do this right now. There's nothing I can possibly provide you. And I just tell them back, I'm like, it doesn't matter. We run these audits as a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd be happy to run one for you.
Yep.
And it's interesting to see how they're disarmed by that. Now, and most of the time, those particular clients, or they're not clients, those particular connections that I interact with, they can't buy. You know, they don't buy, and that's fine. But there's a chance that I'm going to be able to serve them, legitimately serve them, and there's also a chance that at some point they're going to be able to say, "Oh, you know what? Actually, I could use this. I could use some help here." And the same thing happens with whenever we do our sales calls. Our sales calls are the most unsalesy sales calls you could ever possibly be on. We literally just get on a call with people and give them advice for 30 minutes to an hour. Yep. And we're just, here's all the things that you could do to make your business better. And then I say, okay, guys, that's it. Do y'all have any questions? And inevitably, the question that they ask me is, can you help? because with that service disposition that we talked about before, with that disposition to serve other people, what winds up happening is they say, oh, I do feel served. I do feel as though someone is listening to me and willing to help me, and maybe we can continue a deeper conversation, right? And I do that through LinkedIn, and it's incredibly powerful to be able to do a mechanism like that, to be able to reach out to people, connect with them, offer them something, build a relationship, and boom. Now we have opportunity to not just serve them, but potentially build a business and build business with them. It's a great thing. I love social media for that effect.
Yeah.
I hate it for everything else.
I think
I like it for
one
that.
of the unhelpful things you get very often is like particularly when you start a business, everybody's like, oh, work out your pitch and like build a pitch deck and like concisely capture your service offering and the rest of it. And like, yeah, in your head, you need to know what it is. Yeah. Because when someone asks, you need to present it. Like we had a sales meeting last week with a global food and beverage manufacturer. And at the end of the call, they're like, oh, can you send over your slide deck just so, you know, we have reference of what you can do and we can kind of review that and see if there are other areas where you can help us. And I'm like, oh, we better build one. Because I don't want to have that as a tool that I'm like, oh, this is where we go when we do sales calls. Like, come and look at my slide deck. Like, no one's interested in that. And like, if someone presents me with that, immediately I've shut off. Because you're not engaging with me as an individual, and it's coming back to our first bit of conversation. Like, you're not caring about me as an individual. You're just trying to do the slimy sales thing, which is like, here, have some of this. I'm not currently listening to you, and I don't actually care about you as an individual and how you succeed. But like, if you do care about that individual's success, like, two people win there. So we do the same thing.
They win and you win. Yes.
We've got an app that we give away for free, and often people are like, "Oh, we're okay at the moment." I'm like, "Well, if you ever need it, or if you ever want to use it for your internal processes, here it is." And you're right. People are like, "Sorry, what?"
Yeah, what is that for? Yeah, I do exactly the same thing. We built a form on our website where anybody can go in and request an audit at any point.
Yeah.
And so the people who are like, no thanks, not interested, I'm like, okay, well, here's the link. See you later. And every now and then we've had a couple of requests come in. The people who said we're not interested actually went back and filled the form out to go and get the thing done.
Yeah.
And I just think it's an easy way to serve people, and it helps frame what it is that you're really trying to do. But yeah, if you're going in with the mindset of what can I get from this person, you've lost immediately.
Yeah.
You're already on the way out.
So we've already touched on kind of networking, kind of in person. You know, you can go and find events and just start with whatever's local to you. And one of the things that I would potentially recommend there is like go and ask where, you know, have in mind the people that you want to be talking to. Where do you want to end up? Ask those questions at the networking thing. You know, where do the manufacturers hang out? Does anyone know any manufacturers that I could maybe talk to? Like, use those as like knowledge reaping points, places that you can kind of learn and discover things. We've mentioned LinkedIn. It's very easy to connect with lots of people, kind of at scale, low barrier to entry. You can touch base with almost anyone. I don't know. I want to delve into like novel ways that maybe people aren't thinking about. Okay, you know, what are some of the more nuanced or cunning kind of ways that you've gone out and tried to build relationships with people? What are the tools that people actually have available to them that they're not actually thinking about how they utilize? And I suppose the other question in there is like, we should be going into networking thinking about how we connect to other people, as well as just growing our own connections. Now they're very much bind together, which is why I want to mention that. But yeah, let's. What kind of edge cases have you got? What strategies?
Yeah, so probably my favorite thing to do is in-person events with values-aligned people, because to work with people who are on the mission of Christ. Okay, that's what I'm talking about whenever I say values-aligned people. That's a mission that's bigger than all of us. I have a special fire for that because I do want to win the world. That's a motivator that I've got going, and the Lord has given me this business through which we can help other people labor to win the world too, right? And so I'm fighting for that, and so I love to go to those kinds of events for a lot of reasons. One, it puts gas into my tank because I see people who are farther along than I am, and it inspires me. It's like, okay, I can be like them. We can do this. It can be done. I just need to keep fighting, and we can keep building in that particular direction. Two, I also really love helping startups, and startups realistically are not the people who really pay bankroll for us. You know, we have lots of full-time employees. We've got lots of overhead inside of the business. They all have families who need to eat, you know? And so a lot of little consulting accounts, while very fun for me to do, are not going to actually pay the bills. But I go to those in-person events, and I just love to lock in with a few of these people who have startups and just start blowing them up with like fun things that they can try and ideas that they can move on. Like, I really enjoy that. And then also the big win about in-person events is that you get, I think, so when I say in-person events, I'm talking about more on a national scale. I get an idea of the lay of the land in a much larger sense than I do just at home. Okay. I can look out and say, all right, here's the national scene. Here's where things are moving. And I think that in the next couple of years, we need to be pointing more in that direction. That's very, very helpful for me. So I love to network inside of those spaces. They're very expensive. You know, you and I have attended some of these together. They're very expensive to go to. But man, when they're well done, it's worth every penny. So you're going to spend $5,000 to be able to go to one of these, you know, nationwide events. It's going to cost you out of the nose. But man, I love to participate in them because I find them to be very, very effective. But if you can't do that at such a large scale, one of the things that we participated in a while, we don't anymore, is just like local business groups. Now we've left our local business group because they kind of ran stagnant after a little while. I think they're just kind of, now they're leaning more political in kind of what they're trying to do and not really pushing the development of local business anymore. So we've like, all right, okay, we're moving on. But when they were working more in the development of local business and institutions, it was a very great place for us to connect for the same reason. But it was also an opportunity for us to cut our teeth, like you talked about before. It's all local people. It's all in our backyard and in our neighborhood. And you learn how to have those conversations in a much more direct and understanding way. And you can also screw it up, right? In a much more controlled environment, because these are people, generally speaking, that know you a little bit more and are going to be a little bit more forgiving of you than somebody that you've only had 2 video calls with and they live in, you know, Sweden or something. You mess up one moment of those conversations and you're done forever. Yeah. So they're great ways to kind of cut your teeth and move on from there. Probably the farthest outlier that I would say that I've interacted with as far as building out a network is the X platform. I didn't intend to actually have this conversation. And I do think that all social media platforms have the potential to be complete and utter wastes of time if you use them the wrong way. Okay? But I've found in the past that the X platform used correctly can build your network out in a pretty effective way. Okay? Now, the problem with X is the way that the algorithm is cooked. You have to post a lot to stay active. And the Bible says, where there are many words, sin is not absent. And so I don't kind of operate according to their algorithm. I'm more just engage when I can, and I try to do so in a very meaningful way. Don't say anything unless I actually know what I'm talking about. Rule number one, And then also thinking and operating with it and interacting with people with the intention of serving them and growing our business network. And we've gotten work off of a platform like X. Like it's happened. We've built our business and reputation off of a platform like X. It's not nearly as potent for that as like LinkedIn is, but it does work if you work it the right way, if you're careful with it.
Oh man, I've got a few comments. The first being the idea of spending thousands to go to an event. That's just not a thing in the UK. You can go to any event you possibly want. You might have to pay to go to a dinner, which might cost you a couple of £100, and that is it.
Oh wow!
We don't have the distance traveled, which is probably one of the costs for you guys, which we just don't have.
Yes.
And then the idea of paying for any event just isn't really it's just not a thing.
Wow.
So
really?
Yeah. You don't pay to go to events. You pay quite a lot.
That is
to exhibit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a very different market. It's a very different world and a very different market. I suppose the bit that I can relate to your conversation, I'm just thinking about if there's any Brits listening here. Yeah, it does cost a lot to get a flight to the US, and their conferences are rightly priced, but significantly more than our kind of socialist waters. So yeah, you can spend a decent amount of money, and it is totally worth it if anyone's listening.
To every, I would say to every Englishman listening to this right now, if you want to go to an American event, call me, and I will point you to the place to go to. And if I'm going, I will be your buddy.
Oh, do that.
We will hang out. Like I will take you around and give you the best experience that I can while you're there. Because I'm also convinced in an international space that there is a lot in America that's going on right now, especially in the business sector, that would be so beneficial for our Christian entrepreneurs in England to start picking up on now.
Yeah.
And I think you have to get it there. I think you have to get it from events like Fight, Laugh, Feast. I think you have to get it from events like Grace Agenda. There is a dynamic and a palpable dominion-taking energy in that room that you really need to be present. Like you can listen to the talks, you can watch the podcasts, and that's fun. But when you're there and your boots on the ground, collaborating with all these other people, communicating with all these other people that are trying to build the same direction that you are, there is a certain strengthening that happens that I think would be so beneficial to you. So if you're listening, my future English friends, if you're listening to this and you want to go to one of these, shoot me an email, and I will be so happy to pal you around at one of these events, man. And come to Sword and Trowel. If you're in England, get a little taste at Sword and Trowel. Just show up, and we'll have a couple semi-rowdy Americans there, and it'll give you a little flavor, and that'll be great. Like, come to that. Start there. But man, so much potential could be entertained. Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting that as a recommendation here. Go get a ticket to this.
Well, you've got the great brand placement right there.
Sword and Trowel, sure. But I think there's totally truth in that. I suppose just to add to that, we have a reticence of kind of capitalism here in the UK, particularly looking at America now. But free market enterprises it's biblical. It's a gift from God. We don't really understand what it looks like in the UK. Go taste it in America. Totally true.
Yeah. Well, I even mean that just in so much of a sense of like, I live in a small town in Southwest Louisiana that's very rural and very liberal. Okay. And what I'm working to do whenever I go to these events is I'm scrounging for ideas to import into my area. I'm looking for energy and concepts and new infrastructure and new business concepts, new business ideas to just like plug in to where I live. I'm totally doing that the whole time, and I think it's been beneficial for us. And I think that it would continue to be beneficial. Build your network means a lot, but on the top, or at least on one of the layers of it, I would say part of what you're doing is by building your network, you're importing experience into yourself and therefore to everyone else within your purview.
Yeah. I mean, also the piece about whenever I've visited America, I've always been amazed at the generosity of individuals. So like the people that I've connected with are super busy, and like, why are they going to have time for some Brit who like they don't know, isn't particularly significant in any real way, but like you get that time after time. And like, it seems, certainly to the British mind, it seems like a false dichotomy between like the level of generosity and wait a minute, these guys are all capitalists. Like this doesn't fit. They always want to win something. And like, it's all about money at the end of the day. And that's the whole of that is just a lie. Like I find Americans to be significantly more generous than Brits. I suppose a couple of other things that I want to mention in there. You chatted about social media. I feel like social media for me has come up multiple times over the past 7 days, to the point where I might rejoin X and even Facebook, which feels ridiculous. And now I've said it here, I feel like I have to do it as well.
Now we got to go friend you.
But before you ask me why, a recommendation to anyone listening is LinkedIn. Be adding connections now and be building something now. And the reason that I'm thinking about the likes of X and Facebook is obviously these three different platforms have very different clientele, and there are different people on there and it's different conversations. The thing is that you don't know when you're going to need those conversations. And if you've got a history of connections, if you've got a history of content, it gives you a credibility and a reach that you can't get from day one. So I'm anticipating needing the likes of X for various reasons, and the same with Facebook. And I think I'm probably more likely to need them in a few years' time. But if that is the case, then I need to start putting the groundwork in now. I was very much blessed, and it's going to feel weird calling this a blessing, but it totally is. I used to work at a tech startup, and they were very heavy on kind of, reasonably heavy on marketing, but significantly on LinkedIn. And it was always spend time connecting with people, max out your connections, comment on a few things. I'm just like, okay, fine, I'm doing it. Like, this feels cheesy and a bit slimy. But like, 6-8 years later, when I'm like, oh, I need to build my business, all that groundwork's there. And like, it was a colossal blessing to me in kind of like, how do I connect with people about this? And how do I do that? People don't want to connect with people who have got 100 or even like less than kind of 500 connections.
Right.
So,
or people who don't post.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm probably going to rejoining Facebook and X.
Yeah, in the season, so the advice that I would give to people who are getting ready to jump back into the social media space is make sure that you're using the tool and the tool isn't using you. That's going to be a very important dichotomy for you to wield as you're walking through these spaces, because it is very easy for you to get to following the algorithm down a black hole of doom scroll death. It's just, it can happen to you. It happens to everyone. Instead, I would work very hard on curating your feeds. And you can do this on the X platform, and you can do this on the LinkedIn and the Facebook platform. Like, whenever you see stuff you don't want to see, be proactive and get that crap out of your feed. Like, throw that stuff away. Get it done. When you see stuff that you do want to see, inside each one of those platforms, there's ways for you to interact with it, and the algorithm will curate for you over time. That's going to be helpful. You can also build manual lists, which I've loved to do inside of platforms like X. I've built lists of Christians who I know are builders in the UK and in the United States, and I want to pay attention to what they have to say. So if I'm jumping into X for only a couple of minutes and I want to see things of substance, I just queue that list. I don't let the prince of the power of the algorithm determine what it is that I'm going to see that day. I've determined it myself. And that's a very simple way to use tools like that without the tool using you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I think that's smart. I think the listing, is a helpful consideration. I think I'll put in place. I mean, I've wondered as well, like LinkedIn, I have loads of reasons to go on there. Often there's a name of a person that I can't remember, or like I'm about to jump into a meeting and want to know a bit of background about someone. As soon as I open it up, the feed, I can lose 5-10 minutes just staring at the feed and forget why I was there. And it's designed that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing also with your email inbox too, if we're being honest. Like, oh, I need to go and send this email to somebody. And you open your email app and what happens? Mm-hmm. Oh no, there's 77 unread messages and now you're trapped.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of discipline in the digital space that we have to learn to curate, because all of the apps are built to hold us inside of them. Like even productivity apps are built to keep you inside of the productivity app. Like, it's fascinating the way that technology is evolving. But what we need to keep in mind is, hey, we're here to use the tool. Don't let the tool use us, and be proactive in the way that you're thinking about that. Discipline, and that means, when I say proactive, I should say it this way. That means the development of systems and views and lists, so that when you step into these spaces, you're not just immediately, like you said before, sucked into the feed. And now I've burned 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, burn 5 or 10 minutes 5 times a day, and you've lost an hour. Yep. You see, like, now you've lost 10% or more of your workday, depending on how many hours you work a day. Yeah. That's a lot. Well, I mean, it's not a small thing.
I took your advice. I don't have any social media on my phone unless I'm going to like an event and I'm like, I know I'm going to want to post or run into someone that I can't remember the name of and I need to find it. And then I'll uninstall it after I've been at the event.
And it's very helpful. You know, I don't even have email on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, I can't,
because I know.
I tried and was like, how do I get this train? I'm about to get a flight. Where are my tickets? No. So I'm not there.
Yeah. Well, if you're traveling, you're allowed to do whatever you need to do. But I don't even put email on my phone, because I know that I know the potency of it. I know that it can suck me in and keep me there. And there's other things that I want to make sure that I'm doing with my day. And there's all kinds of ways to build those systems in. It goes back to something, I don't even know if we said this on the episode. We might have said it somewhere else, but you put your big rocks in the jar. This is maybe I should explain the illustration. If you have a jar and you're trying to fill it, like the rocks are the things you need to do. The jar is your time. Okay. When you put all the big rocks into your jar, the jar is full of big rocks. You look at the jar and you say, man, that's full. I can't fit anything else in it. And then you pour the little rocks in and you're like, oh, I can fit more things in it. And then you pour the sand in and you're like, oh, I still could fit more in it, but it's definitely full now. And then you pour the water in and you're like, oh no, there was still room. That's what I mean whenever I talk about systems and efficiencies. Find ways to, Atomic Habits is a great book. I think we've talked about it in other podcasts. He talks about habit stacking. In other words, finding ways to build these systems and routines and efficiencies into your day and just chaining them together so that it all just happens. And that's a great technique. Yep. But now we're getting into a productivity podcast and we're talking about networking. But I think it's important because we are talking about networking through social media, and there's pitfalls you can fall into.
Well, maybe this is kind of the final bit of conversation. I'm going to go for something controversial and say that you can buy friends.
Oh, let's go. I buy friends every day. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I buy friends. Yep. I know about it. It's fun to make fun of the fraternities and sororities and be like, oh, it's rent a friend. Like, I don't know if you guys have that in England. Do you have fraternities and sororities in England?
Not really.
No, it's an American thing. Yeah. So just context for my English friends. American universities have fraternities and sororities that people can buy into. They pay money to join these things. And the people who don't join them make fun of them and say, oh, you have a rent-a-friend. In other words, you paid for your friends. But really, if you join a business networking group that you pay to join, guess what you just did?
But
you just bought friends.
You can do it more, I don't know, or not. I was going to say audaciously, but I think we're getting to dangerous ground. I pose that you can do it. So one of the things that we do as a team, we run like once a month, we have a team development session or lunch. So we'll have lunch as a team, and then we'll get someone in to speak. And like, well, what are we trying to do there? One, the first obvious thing is like, I want to introduce a topic and fuel a conversation within the business. And I want the guys to learn, and I want us to kind of spark ideas off one another and think about how we can faithfully apply God's word. But the other thing that I'm doing is connecting with someone who potentially I would have no other way of connecting with, and also potentially connecting people in the team here with whoever's chatting on the screen. So who can you do that with? Well, just name someone that you want to talk to. And this is effectively what we've done, what I've done. So Aaron Youngren, he's written some books on AI and the use of it, which I think have been absolutely fantastic. I'm like, we use AI all the time. How do we use it well? How do we spark conversations within the business? So I can't remember if I think I'm connected with other people that he used to work with. And he commented on one of their posts, and I'm like, it'd be great to chat with Aaron. I just commented underneath his comment. He acknowledged it. So I'm like, okay, he's engaging with us. Awesome. Connected with him separately, sent him a private message, was like, really enjoy your books. It'd be great, like, to have you kind of speak within our team development sessions at some point. Obviously I want to pay for his time as well, you know, like if there's anyone of substance, their time is worth a lot of money. You know, I feel very frustrated when I can't get things like my car fixed. I can't remember if we've chatted about this. I think we have. And like, I would pay to have my car fixed because my time is worth money. Now, if you want to engage with anyone of substance, their time is worth money. So respect that.
Yes.
They're going to be,
we're not even necessarily, sorry, but we do this too. And we're not even necessarily talking about thousands of dollars here. Like, we're talking about you live stream somebody in, they spend 30 minutes and you pay them generously. Like, you can offer them, hey man, here's a couple $100. What's a couple $100? That's nothing. You can happily pay them $100, $200, $300 for their time. They feel blessed because it literally only took them half an hour, and they're going to hop off the call and go play with their kids when they're done. You know, and you feel blessed because now you've received from them things that normally you would have to buy. If you're in the United States, a conference ticket and all the travel and everything might cost you $5,000. Yeah. You know, you're able to have a much tighter system. Yeah. I think it's much better that way. I really do.
When would you get that opportunity to ask such questions and exposure? But the other thing that you're actually kind of buying there is potentially the start of a relationship and an ongoing conversation. Like, if you can bless this person and you've kind of, fine, you've paid for an initial conversation, but you've got value out of it. You want to be a blessing to them. And the other opportunity there is like, if I can be generous in how much I pay for 30 minutes worth of time, they're going to look at the business and they're going to be like, oh, Knox Thomas, I've heard of them. They're very generous. Like, the guys there are good guys. They're trying to build something. And like, they'll be, us as a business could be, you know, God willing, I pray, like in their minds. And when they have conversations about the UK or like machinery safety for some weird reason, they might go, oh, we know these guys over here. Like, let's connect them and let's kind of contribute to the growing of connections and networking. But that can also just start really good relationships. You know, like, there's a few people like that. So David, someone I work with, David and I are off to Moscow in a month's time, maybe even a bit less. And there are various people that we use their services, or we've had them speak, or other kind of connections we've got in there. And we've gone, oh, we're visiting. Like, Can we grab coffee? Can we grab lunch? And you don't know. Again, this is just furthering networking, but this is just a more strategic approach that's maybe a bit novel. But again, you're blessing one another and like opening doors that, where are they going to go? Like, this is exciting. I mean, you and I, it's not dissimilar. Now you're flying to the UK.
And I'm excited, like I can't wait to get there. My family is all a little bit jealous. In fact, my second born has already started saving for her trip for her. She's like, Dad, if I save for a ticket to England, can I go with you the next time I let you go? And I'm like, of course, honey, you absolutely can. So she's like, got it. And so she's resolved at this point. Like, she's saving her money to come to me with England, or come with me to England. And honestly, I'm looking forward to being a service while I'm there to try and help people keep building. But I'm also excited to see what it is that I can learn out of this. Because one of the things that I appreciate out of the English, and I think you might disagree with me about this, but they have a moxie to them.
What does that mean?
An English, no, hear me out. Hear me out. A moxie, like they have. I'm trying to think of a way to say it that would be a little clearer. They don't mind offending people in certain senses. Okay, so in America, we have this kind of politeness built into everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's, and I'm not saying that the English aren't polite. You and I have a great relationship. I've interacted with a lot of people. I consider them great guys, very polite.
I'm wondering how much you're describing Tom Chaldecott.
No. No. I mean this sincerely. Like in my interactions, not just with you, but with others, one of the things that I've found is that generally speaking, folks in England don't have much of a problem asking tough questions. Okay. I find in the States, we don't like to do that because we're real hesitant, especially in the South. I live in the South. Okay. Especially in the South, we're very hyper concerned about not offending anyone, no matter what. In England, and in my interactions with those who are English, I've found that they have no problem asking me a question or making an assertion that's counter to mine. And I like that. I find that it's like, oh, good, let's think about this. Let's push on this a little bit. That's helpful to me. And so I'm genuinely looking forward to that. Do you disagree? What do you think?
I think you've met a very small particular sample of Brits.
Of the English. That is a fair assertion. I mean, I have met probably about six people that I would categorize as Englishmen. But I've noticed this trend with most of them. But you're saying this is not a consistent trend. Oh man. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. You'll have to be my friend that disagrees with me whenever we're on the business panel together. That'll be the way that I get my English trip highs.
But again, even the people on the panel, I think you're going to be looking at a very narrow cross-section.
A very narrow grouping.
British society.
Okay. Well, let's just see what happens. Let's find out if I'll tell you whether or not I was right after my trip. Yeah. How about that?
I'm thinking
I'll look around and we'll figure it out.
When we take you to, what is it, Benny's? Not Denny's. The UK equivalent of Denny's. You can try and start a conversation with someone else in the pub and see how that goes.
Okay, done. I'll do it. Done. Tom, do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
I think my closing comment would be go into conversations being excited and wanting to discover something and bless people. And the number of conversations and the frequency that you can do that is actually incredibly high. So that'd be my encouragement to those listening.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree. I think that's the big point to come away from this podcast with. Go into conversations to be a blessing. Go into conversations to serve others. And then let's see what happens on the other side. Absolutely. Amen. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for listening to another episode of A Brit and a Yank Talk Business. Website coming soon. In fact, It may be live right now, actually. I'll have to find out after this episode. You could go right now and listen to this and see that it's live yourself. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If you've got topics that you would like for us to address, you can reach out to us directly through our website, fingers crossed, or you can email Tom and I, and you can find our contact information in the show notes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.